This is my pedalboard. I own this, I paid for this, and it is my pride and joy. Now, if you'll allow it, I'd like to take you on what may become a bit too extensive of a tour of this thing. I'll start off with some general data. I calculated how much all of this cost me, and by all of it, I mean the board, the cables, the pedals, the power supply, just everything you see here. And I ended up at precisely 1,595 euro. I had never calculated that before. I was a bit afraid to look because I didn't want to know how much I'd spent on all of this, but it is that much. I didn't think it would be that much, but I guess retrospectively it makes sense. You'll learn why in a second. The measurements are exactly 80 by 39 centimeters, meaning that it is just, and I do mean just, by like 1 or 2 centimeters wider than this 4x12 cab. Yeah, it's a big boy. Weight-wise, it clocks in at too heavy. I have not actually weighed it. If I do end up doing that before editing, then well, it feels heavier than that, I'll tell you that much. Wow, that heavy, really? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know as of recording this how heavy it is, but it is goddamn heavy. It weighs too much. I have never had to haul this anywhere, but I don't look forward to it. Nay, I dread the day where I have to take this to like a gig, a rehearsal, just anything. In fact, when that point comes, I might do what KDH did and just make a more compact, portable version of this. I think this is my home rig and nothing else, because it did come, hold on, it did come with a nice and large carrying bag, but yeah, I mean, look at it, it is literally the size of 2 Marshall heads. It is not the depth of 2 Marshall heads, but with how big some of the pedals on it are, it's not that far from it. Honestly, it's too large. Now, tonight I would like to take you on a tour of this thing. And by tour, I mean I will show you everything in excruciating detail. If you're not a fan of that, I'm very sorry, but this is a cool board and I want to share it. Alright, so I'll go pedal by pedal. Now, I will bring the camera in a little bit first because there's a lot of that going on and not enough of this if you're actually trying to see like the pedals. Alrighty, so I'll start off with the beginning of the signal chain, the tuner. Now, I am planning to make a follow-up video to this one sometime that will be loosely based around this pedal in particular, because this, the Korg Pitch Black Custom, which I bought by pure coincidence because I was going to get the Korg Pitch Black Advance, and those were sold out, and Toman went, here, get this. So I bought it, and you would not believe how smooth this switch is. Give me a second. Do you hear that? Neither do I. There's nothing to here. This is the smoothest pedal switch in the world. Genuinely. It is second only to the switches on Boss pedals because it doesn't get any smoother than that. But this being just a button that you press, it's insane. I love this. And I do plan for a small little video to call up Korg and ask them who their supplier for these switches is and where I can get some of my own to put in all of the pedals that I'm about to show you that just really do not have switches this smooth. Now, this tuner, I believe, was 69 euro, and it is amazing. It's just, I mean, it's a very accurate tuner and all of that. I do expect that out of most tuner pedals. It was the switch that just won my heart straight away. I love this thing, and I want every one of my pedals that doesn't already feel like this to feel like this. Next up in the signal chain is my Fender Invari Malmsteen Signature Overdrive. Now, Invari has always been one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to guitar, which is why I play metal on Strats, and you know, I've become a neoclassical boy over time. This pedal will turn any amp into Ingvari's amp, I swear. Like, I have this tiny little orange micro dark. Now, this is one of the best lunchbox amps ever made, and especially for the price. But it sounds distinctly orange. This will make it sound more like a Plexi than you can imagine. I swear, this is the best pedal ever. Now, I'm pretty sure these were a limited run in about like 2005, 2008, something like that. And back then, though, they were going for like 60 or 70 euro on Thomann. I bought this about a year ago. I spent a bit more than that, if you will. I spent 200 euro. I know I overpaid, but I really, really wanted this. I'd heard it being played through like a similar Marshall stack to this one, and that was my dream sound. I wanted to achieve that sound, and now I can. I way overpaid for it, but they don't go for anything less than like 180 to 200 euro these days. This didn't come with the packaging. That upset me quite a bit, but you know. Also, switch test. So. It could be better. If I do get to replace it, I will. Next up is this Ibanez Tube Screamer Mini that I bought off of Jamie Slays. Again, nicest dude ever. I said that in the pic video and everything because he threw in a bunch of pics and stickers, whatever, in the packaging. But this is a great pedal, and I'll explain why I prefer this over a regular TS-808 or TS-9. These two amps right here, my main amps, they already kind of have all the gain in the world, but I noticed that with the JCM 2000, even without the tone shift knob engaged, which just makes it sound like shit, do not use the tone shift. Once you turn the gain up beyond like 5 or 6, it starts to get muddy, and I don't like that. So while this amp, and especially this Kerry King Signature 800, just already sort of had too much gain almost, I wanted something to boost it with that wasn't as extreme as a regular TS9. This has considerably less gain, and it does just have a different character. Now, I don't have a regular Tube Screamer on hand to show you to compare against, but I'll just show you how it sounds anyway. Oh, also, switch test. Despicable. I hate it. Next up is the Fender Computalist compressor / distortion pedal. This is the Fender The Bends compressor on the right side and the Fender Pugilist distortion on the left. It's two pedals that you can engage them separately. They're in the same casing just to save space and a bit of money. I was going to get both of them, but I just got this instead. And I have to say, this is amazing. It has this bass boost switch on the distortion side that just makes it sound amazing. It's somewhat similar to a Tube Screamer, but it has more low mids, and it has this Fender character. I don't know how to describe it, but I have that Fender Invari Overdrive. Just Fender pedals have this distinct sound to them that I can't put my finger on it, but it's there. The compressor is one of the most amazing compressors I've ever heard. Now, I wanted a compressor to play lead lines on the clean channel, and what I noticed is that a lot of compressors just completely change the sound and character of your signal. So what goes into the compressor is nowhere near what comes out of it, and I didn't like that, because I dial in my tone the way that I like it, and when I hit the compressor, I want it to do just that, compress it, but not change the character of it completely. This is one of the least noticeable compressors ever in the best way possible. I cannot imagine using a different one. I've tried the Boss compressor. That was abysmal. You name it, I've probably tried it. I've bought it and sent it back because I just didn't enjoy it. This was the one I kept. Love at first sight. Give it a listen. I almost forgot. Switch test. I don't like that. Next up, and I have a whole video about fuzz pedals coming up when I do eventually get that other fuzz pedal that I wanted, that I will not mention which one it is. This is the Gojira Effects Light Meat Boy. Gojira Effects is a bit of a boutique pedal kind of brand. They are hand-built and printed. I'll show you the fine detail design-wise. I had the Steamed Hams design printed on it, and then I got a Steamed Hams shirt, and I uploaded a funny Instagram picture with it. You know, the expensive custom design choice aside, this thing is amazing and I love it. However, there is a small downside to it, which is that even with my noise gate engaged, and I've tested it with the noise gate on this thing as well, or both of them, this amp has one of the strongest noise gates and fastest reacting noise gates I've ever heard. This thing can penetrate that anyway. I don't know, like you kind of do like open string chugs and you'll hear it in between anyway. But once you find a way to fix that, it really is like one of the best fuzz pedals ever. Now, again, I do plan to make an entire video based around fuzz pedals, which somehow will probably be nerdier than this one even. Also, switch tests. That's the stuff. That is very smooth. I mean, again, this is a hand-built boutique pedal. I do expect that to be better. I hold this at a higher standard than I do most pedals that I just get from some factory. But this is nice. Right after that in the signal chain, we have this Stone Deaf Effects Fig Fum Paracentric Fuzz Filter. What does that mean? I have no idea, but it sounds fantastic, and it's built like a tank as well. This is solid. You know, it's got the funny design on it, whatever. This is huge as well. Like, it takes up quite a bit of space on the board. Now, it has just all of these knobs to it. The most important one, however, is fuzz and gate, because yes, this switch engages a built-in noise gate, and that's the reason I placed it behind the Steamed Hams fuzz and not in front of it, because sometimes I do like to just turn the fuzz on this one down, turn up the gate, engage it, and then just use the Steamed Hams fuzz, because that'll use my choice of EQ settings for this pedal, but it won't let any of the noise through, because this is a very, very good noise gate as well. Again, Stone Deaf is a bit of a boutique brand, but you can actually get these on Thomann as opposed to that other one. Also, switch tests, again, obligatory. I've heard worse. The one on the right is smoother. Yeah, I don't know. I'd still probably change this out if I could get this thing open, but I do not see that happening. Alright, now that we've gone through the distortion slash fuzz slash overdrive section, this is my noise gate. Everyone sort of uses this noise gate. I like to refer to it as the industry standard. I don't know how true that is, but Yngwie uses it. Everyone uses it. Yes, Yngwie constitutes everyone. You know, but if Yngwie uses something, usually to me that means that it's at least decent. This is a great noise gate. I'm sure something like the Fortin Zool might give this a run for its money, but the Fortin Zool is also like, what, €250? And I'm not spending that on a noise gate, or, you know what, in any pedal for that matter. That's not happening. Also, I mentioned Boss switches earlier. This is the only Boss pedal that I own. Switch test. The smoothest. I love these switches. I'm sad that not more pedals have them, but for the sake of design, I suppose I can understand that. So, away you go. Alright, this is the last pedal that isn't in the effects loop. Yeah, the rest are in the effects loop. I know phaser is usually an effect that you want to have in your effects loop, but I find that when you plug it into the preamp section, it's much too powerful, because it adds that phase to everything, to your distortion, reverb. It just takes the entire signal and goes whoosh. I don't like that. I do quite enjoy it when it's just plugged into the input of the amp though. It's one of my favorite effects. I used to really hate it. Then I got into Paul Gilbert and I started loving it. And I am planning like a big, huge phaser shootout video where I just buy like 12 of them, including this one, and show you all the differences, you know, which one might be best for you. Because every phaser pedal is good for a different application. I don't like this much on cleans. I like it when I'm also using delay, reverb, and just a thick distortion. It's not a very good clean phaser pedal. I used to have the script version as well. I just sent that back because I was just shooting those two out. And the script I much preferred on cleans. It's a taste thing, but you know. Also, I love the simplicity on this one. I was going to get the Phase 100, but for a phaser, really all you need is a knob to adjust speed with, and that's all that this has. This is a very good pedal. Yeah, I might get some more complicated phaser pedals as time goes by, but I do quite enjoy that this just has one control and an on-off switch. That's quite good. Speaking of the on-off switch, switch test. It's got a pretty crunchy click, but it's honestly, it's fine. I'll give it a pass. And we've entered the effects loop. This is my Fender Bubbler Chorus. I've always been a big fan of chorus pedals, you know, because I've always been a big 80s shred guy, and this is essential. It's a very complicated pedal, which I guess is a bit weird because I've just said I enjoy the Phase 90 because it has one knob. This, you might argue, has too many knobs. But yeah, it's a great pedal. Feature-wise, this is almost on like a Strymon level. I mean, look-wise, it might even remind you of a Strymon pedal. This has so many features. You know, it's got that sine wave, a triangle wave switch. The difference is subtle, but you will be able to hear it if I show you. You can switch between slow and fast waves, so you can have the rates up real high on this side and down real low on this one, and you can switch between those instead of having to adjust the knobs every time. So if it only had 3 knobs, that would be a downside. But this is almost like 2 of the same chorus pedal in one housing. Also, I just love the look of Fender pedals. I know I'm a bit of a Fender fanboy. You can see a lot of Fender in this studio, but yeah, I do love them, quite a bit. And this is the best chorus I've ever tried. I've tried the MXR Black Label. I've even tried a Strymon chorus. Yeah, I bought one of those and I sent it back. I've tried a lot of them. This is what I went with in the end. It just sounds the best with cleans, but especially just for a nice like chorus 80s spec lead tone. Before I let you take a listen, switch test. Same switches as the Computalist. Decent, could be better, but decent. I don't feel the immediate need to change these like I do with a pedal that's coming up in a second. Now, continuing on with the boutique pedal pattern of this video, this is the Colossus Audio Works T-Lay, I don't know. It's a good pedal. Now, what I found interesting about this was I was originally going to buy a MXR carbon copy, the small one, because those are just great value for money pedals. I've heard nothing but good things about that. And while looking for one of those, I found this. This is basically the exact same thing. In fact, one might say that it's a carbon copy. You smiled. I saw that. In fact, the layout is the exact same as well, but it has two features that the carbon copy does not have. One is this switch that switches between a tape and an analog sound. This is a fully analog pedal. It allows you to switch between the typical analog delay sound and a tape delay sound. Again, subtle difference. These small switches always make the most subtle differences, but it is there, it is audible, and it is quite a good feature to have, even though I do typically stick to the analog sound and not the tape one. And another feature that the carbon copy does not have, that was the one that made me buy this actually, is the fact that it has 50 milliseconds more delay. The carbon copy has 300, at least the small one does. I think the large one actually has 600. This one has 350. That is the most nerd thing ever, I know. 50 milliseconds more delay, I'll take that one then. But it did make a difference. It did make enough difference for me to buy this. I didn't spend extra on it, of course. I said it cost the exact same amount, but it is cool to have that, isn't it? I assume most people wouldn't really have cared. I do care. I know people who do care. I've recommended this to everyone whom I've heard say, like, I want an MXR carbon copy. I said, no, get this one instead. It has more delay, and it's got the cool tape option. Switch test, again, hand-built boutique pedal. It has quite a loud click, but it is very smooth. I don't think I'll ever change that switch, because it's good enough. Want to know what isn't good enough? Give me a second. Speaking of not good enough, my nemesis. This is the Electro Harmonix Holy Grail Neo. It's the small version of the big boy, the Holy Grail Max, and this pisses me off in so many ways I can hardly describe it, but I will. First of all, I'm not sure what this casing is made of. I think it's metal. It's like aluminium or something. But I'm not sure because it does feel plasticky and it weighs nothing. Secondly, there's this switch that allows you to switch between spring, hall, and plate reverb. I do kind of stick to spring usually because that's my kind of reverb. But that switch, you know, they don't call these stomp boxes for nothing. I've never played on a stage before, but I imagine that if you step on this in the heat of the moment and kind of slip and step on this switch, that would be a goner and it would be a pain in the ass. Also, the knob. Just listen. This just takes actual effort to press. This was €120 and it's not good enough. It is subpar. Usually I would have sent this back, but the sound is great. I'm fine with it for now because I'm going to get the Spring King anyway and that'll be my go-to reverb. I'm going to end up using the Spring King more because it is just analog reverb and I want the signal chain to be as analog as possible. So while this might soon be retired, it's still pissing me off for the time being. But I've kept it and I'm likely just going to keep it forever because again, it sounds great. It's a great pedal, but they've just put no effort into building it. Like you can see where the little LED is and everything. It's made of nothing. And that just kind of makes me a bit sad because it could be made of something and that would justify the price a bit more. But yeah. So So those were all the pedals I use. I'm going to show you the power supply I use as well, but I'm not gonna physically show it to you because that would require me to unplug everything and like untie it from the board. It's a Harley Benton ISO whatever 12. It has 12 outputs. I currently have 12 pedals, so if I do get the sprinking, I am going to have to get another power supply just for that. It's great. It doesn't change the sound. It doesn't hum or buzz at all. It's not just a glorified daisy chain. A lot of brands like to put the word ISO in the name of their power supplies, but they'll just have the 9 volt, 12 volt, and 18 volt outputs isolated from each other. So like have 8 of them not isolated from one another, but isolate those 8 from the next 4. Which is that's just crap, right? That doesn't do anything because most like I don't have a single pedal here that doesn't take 9 volts. I have every output on this one. If they weren't isolated from each other, there'd just be this symphony of buzzing. I would hate that. Like that would be a deal breaker instantly, of course. I'd buy like a Strymon Zuma or something like that, but those are much more expensive. I paid €100 for this one. I couldn't be happier. Also, I didn't mention the name of this board actually. It's a Harley Benton Spaceship 80. I love Harley Benton to death. The only bass I have is a Harley Benton jazz bass. They are a fantastic value for money brand. I know that they didn't used to be. They used to make some real crap. In fact, I have a Super Strat from that era. But this is a fantastic piece of gear, as is the power supply, and as are these flathead patch cables that I've used for a lot of these pedals now just to save some space. They were like €5 a piece, something in that ballpark, and usually that isn't enough to spend on a patch cable, but Harley Benton made it possible to make cheap patch cables that don't make noise. So, you know, kudos to them for that. I'm not changing these cables out anytime soon. So, thank you for watching. I hope this was as fun for you to watch as it was for me to make, because this really was fun. I've always wanted to share the details about this board, and now I have. So yeah, last video's over there, subscribe button somewhere over here. I'll see you in the next video. God, this thing's fucking heavy. Jesus, oh, it's